I'd like to call into order the Southborough School Committee open meeting of Wednesday, September 13th, 2017. And the first item on the agenda is audience sharing. Does anybody have anything to share? Okay, so we can move on now to new business.
That's right. And our first new business of this school year is to provide an overview of our back-to-school activities. It was an outstanding beginning to the new 2017-2018 school year. And this evening we have a number of folks who are with us, our administrative team, our two new, well, one sort of new administrator in a different chair in a different position, but definitely our new Woodward School principal, Steve Manucci, and Clayton Ryan in his role as principal of Finn. So we're delighted to have them here, and they will be providing updates about their respective schools. And always Kathleen, Keith, and Gary is here with us, and assistant principal of Trotter. We also have a number of central office staff with us here this evening so that they can provide an update with what else is happening in the district over the summer months, and then things to look forward to at the beginning of the school year. So we are off to a fantastic start. We all gathered at the high school on August 28th for our one community celebration and acknowledgement of our respective schools. And from there, it just became more exciting when the students arrived and the teachers. So had two wonderful building-based professional development days to start off the school year, and then our students arrived on Wednesday. I do want to begin, though, with a group of folks that I don't think we would know what to do without, and they're our custodial and maintenance and grounds crew over the summer. And they transform our schools into something magical, shiny, and bright, and welcoming for all of our students. And as you know, last year, Dave White retired, and we've been diligently looking for his replacement and posted several times. But we're very fortunate that when we need someone to step up to the plate, we only look no further than our own Brent P. Trottier. And so Brent, thankfully, a well-known figure and so much celebrated about the grounds, has been our director of facilities and has done a phenomenal job over the summer months. And Brent, one of the joys in retirement is Brent doesn't have to physically be here for the meetings necessarily, particularly since he is an interim facilities manager. But he did leave a note for me to share. So I think there's no better way than to start off with celebrating the folks that were here throughout the summer, in addition to central office, folks getting into school, and our facilities and our staffing ready and welcoming for the start of the school year. So I'd just like to share Brent's comments. And I think they're really heartfelt, and given that Brent has been in the district, Keith, over 35, 40 years, as a teacher and an administrator, has filled in various central office positions as well, man about town, jack of all trades, and all of them done very well. It's been a pleasure to work again in the Southborough schools. I appreciate the opportunity to report to you the progress we've made in maintaining the Southborough school facilities. I'm happy to say that we achieved our goal of opening the schools in the best state of readiness as possible. The custodial crews worked magic in preparing the schools for opening day. The custodians were organized into crews to accomplish the work, a system that has been employed for the past few years. With a few minor hiccups, the system worked well. We were able to do some deeper cleaning this year because of their hard work. We have a number of specific skills within our custodial staff, which has resulted in some cost savings to the school. For example, our resident painter, Mike McGuire, spent a total of 96 hours painting at each of our sites, including the superintendent's office. Joe Mancini spent several days trimming trees at Nearier and Trottier in a professional manner. Dan Morrison removed cabinetry, built counters and bookcases, trimmed walls, and hung pictures and flat screen TVs. This group could not have accomplished what they did without the support of the other team members who kept grinding through the summer. They should all be proud of the work they did. In the midst of all this activity was the recarpeting of the superintendent's office. Those who work in the area that received new carpet spent several weeks reorganizing their workspace prior to the installation. They had to work under less than ideal conditions, and they were rewarded with a more comfortable and professional workplace. Their positive attitude made the work go much smoothly. During all this activity were the normal inspections of fire extinguishers, sprinklers, suppression systems, fire panels, and alarms, all in place to keep our students safe. And yes, we successfully had our first fire drill. It was day 2, right, or something like that. There are many obvious examples of this contracted work that was done this summer. One of the most noteworthy is the redo of the Neary courtyard. It has been made into a viable space for student instruction. Not so obvious, yet vital, was the work on the septic pumps at Finn School and the pending renovation of one of the manholes, which is an important part of the Trotter septic, always important. We are looking forward to work on renovating the light poles on the Trotter Neary campus and the pair of the wall and granite sign at the beginning of the Trotter Drive at Deerfoot Road. There's still much to do. I hope that the vital work of the facilities department will continue to receive the support and encouragement that we have received during these last several months. Brent continues to look forward to making many recommendations as we move forward with the new head of facilities. The Southborough schools are a wonderful place within which to work. In no small measure is this due to the physical environment which exists. It is important that this be recognized during budget deliberation. There's Brent, always mindful of all the aspects of running a school district, so that these conditions exist for future students and staff. All the best for the new school year. So that is, what a way to start with a review of opening day.
We should name a school after him.
I think that's a great idea. And take a picture, maybe hang it up in the lobby at the
See,
same time.
you know, when I first heard the name of the school, I thought the person maybe was around 50 years ago or something like that. You know, I had no idea that the person was, you know, still available. So.
and still very
That's
active.
Very much so.
I think that's really a true testament to who he is. I mean, Brent was young for the most part. You know, the Trotter School's been named on his behalf for now, what, 12, 15 years or so?
Years.
And, you know, Brent was still very active. He might have even been working at central office at the previous location in the high school back then. But he's always available to fill in, and at his heart is doing a great job on behalf of the school system. So, and he's quite a comedian too. So.
And it's great having around the building.
Yeah.
The new students, look at the portrait, look at him. They're doing the double take. It's fun to watch. I've seen it a few times. And he's like, yep, it's me. It's me. He gives a wave. So he loves being around the building, loves being around the kids, and I think that helps with what he's able to contribute, like Christine said. Every word of that is 100% accurate.
Absolutely. So we might want to start with Clayton and just move up the progression of the K-8 experience. We'll start at first place and where our hearts are, where the kids are, and teachers and students. So, Clayton?
A very smooth opening, one of the smoothest I've experienced, certainly the smoothest as principal. And I would like to acknowledge Brian Fantoni, Khalid Baba, Chris Banks from Trotter, and the summer crew for the incredible work that they did over the summer. In addition to some of our former students who were part of the summer cleaning crew, it was so nice to see them at the school as adults taking part in moving furniture, and it was great. They really made this school sparkle for our opening day and our open house. Over the summer, we had a very busy summer. We had some summer programming at Finn, which made the school seem like it really didn't get into shutdown mode, but it was a different kind of operation. We had some PD for Connect for Learning, which is the new curriculum program or curriculum that's adopted for our preschool. So we were trained in that. It's very strong in science and math, creating a great foundation for kindergarten and also supporting some social emotional learning. So we're excited about that. I mentioned our open house. It was very well attended. Parents and students very excited to see their classrooms. It was a great way for our kids to connect with their peers, with their teachers before that first day of school. It really reduced the anxiety. I think we only had 1 or 2 teary eyes, and those were staff members who were on the first day.
Or parents.
Or parents, yeah. They chased the bus. And I'd also like to acknowledge Greg for putting together a very comprehensive PD schedule that's already in place for the entire year. It's such a relief to know that things are scheduled. We can look at that. We can plan accordingly with our staff when they're going to be in the building, when they're going to be in training. So I just wanted to acknowledge Greg for the hard work on that. In the areas of science, some new stuff that we're adopting, ELA, art, and I'm sorry to say art. Oh, and that's an and math that are already in place. And that's really about it. We've got some new staff. We're all very excited to be in a routine already. It's so important. Little difficulty with the breaks that we've had. Monday off for Labor Day, you start, then you stop, and then you start again. But our kids are very resilient. They're already doing a lot of the things behaviorally that we would expect a few months down the road, and we're just ready to keep going. So a very smooth opening.
I would echo those same thoughts that Clayton had. Very smooth opening. I want to thank Ed Mercer and Joe Mancini for a tremendous job, our custodial staff getting Woodward ready. It really looked fantastic for the first day. It continues to look just as great. My opening, or I guess my opening day happened at the Ice Cream Social, where I had a chance to meet a lot of you, connect with the community. And since that day, I was reassured that this was the right place for me, and I'm so happy to be part of the Southborough community. Over the summer, I had a chance to connect with a lot of community members, some people at the Southborough Youth and Family Services, just to make sure that I'm aware of all the programs that Southborough has to offer so that we're supporting our students in all ways, whether they're be in school or outside of school. Getting back to the open house, it was well attended. We had a lot of excited students and families, some of them more nervous than others, but like Clayton had mentioned, having that opportunity for families to come to school the day before school starts, I think really gives them a chance to transition. And they can ask questions of their parents and of their teachers so they're not as anxious when they actually come to school. We did add quite a few new staff members, most associated with the Castle program, so that's new to Woodward this year. In addition to Castle, we also had a few teachers transition from special education positions to classroom teachers at Woodward, so we're very excited about that. We hired 2 new teachers who are new to the district. At our first parent coffee, or principal coffee, excuse me, which was last week, we had a great turnout. It was really focused on volunteering in the school and making sure that the homeschool connection is as strong as it can be. At the end of that event, I just surveyed parents and just wanted to know, what are you looking for from me, and what kinds of opportunities or topics for principal coffees would you like to see in the future? So we have some great ideas that we're going to be taking for our next principal coffee. As far as the opening, like I said, I think it went fairly well. I'm really excited to kind of build on a lot of the things that have been established or are starting to, or started last year at Woodward. In addition to the classroom spaces being beautiful, we also have the outdoor classroom, which was part of a grant. So we're excited to use that and continue to provide our Woodward students with great opportunities to learn inside and out of the classroom.
And on to Mary. I too want to just piggyback onto both of what Steve and Clayton had said, that the custodians were fantastic. I'd like to acknowledge Tom Kilcoyne and Mike Daigle, our custodians, but also just the whole team worked so hard. And as Superintendent Johnson mentioned, the Mary Courtyard had a huge change. It's really a courtyard now. So all of the branches and dead trees, and we found a koi pond in there, and we found some bird houses, and all things we couldn't even see. No fish. So we were able to make it a really nice space, and we're working with our school council to identify some grants that we can get some more seating out there and covering so that it can really become a viable space for classroom learning. So it's exciting, but currently we're using it for lunch bunches, and some classrooms are getting outside. So it's really enhanced Mary so much, because it's the first thing you see when you walk in our door. And now you can see all the way to the other side. So it's really exciting. New to our school this year, we have Lindsay Sherman, who is our band educator. She took the place of Steve Curtis, who retired. So very excited to have her on board, and we have 2 new special education aides, Tim Deloisio and Kate Kern, joined our staff as well. And really a big kudos to our teaching staff for their incredible preparedness and getting ready for students to come on. They really worked collaboratively to create classrooms that are just so welcoming, and students arrived on day 1 and the entire staff was out on the playground just greeting students and helping them find their ways to to their new teachers. So it was really great, and they worked really hard. And I want to thank our SOS ladies for distributing our school kids supply kits. The day before school started, they were in and about in every classroom delivering those boxes, and there were a lot of boxes. So a big thanks to them. And then that evening, they prepared for the ice cream social, and we had a huge turnout. So this was my 4th ice cream social, and it was the biggest yet. It was fantastic. A great showing, and teachers were there, and parents were there, and students, and dogs, and it was great. It was fun. At Mary this year, we have a new science lab, which houses all our science resources, allows us to prep our materials, instruction, and provides a greatly needed space for our hands-on activities. And we combined our library and technology together for a libratory this year. So thanks to a grant from SEF and a shared vision, we opened it on day 1, which will focus on the 4 C's: collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking. And we have a new 3D printer, so I brought some visuals that the students worked on and the teachers. So that's Mrs. Bruce and Mrs. Wagner. So that's really exciting. So it'll combine, we're calling it our STREAM lab, so it's science, technology, research, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And it's really exciting. It's a 90-minute block, so we really get that hands-on opportunity. And kids come in prepared, and they are engaged from the minute they walk in to the minute they leave. So that's been a great addition to Mary. We continue to have our Friday farewell meetings, so that's our whole school meetings. We launched our One School, One Read, which is Wonder for this year, and our theme of the year is Choose Kind. So we're doing hashtag Choose Kind for a lot of what we're doing in the school. We're partnering with the Senior Center. We're having our picture on the hill this Friday, so that's when we all get together, and we typically do a USA. We stand as USA or an American flag, but this year we are challenging ourselves, and we're writing out hashtag Choose Kind. So
It's a lot more
stay
letters.
tuned. It's a lot more letters, and it's a lot more coordination. But Jen Terrio, one of our 5th grade teachers, has mathematically calculated it, so we can figure out how many students we need for each letter. So that's Friday. We're excited.
No one better be out there.
Yes, and we're all in white, so it should be fun.
That'd be fun.
And just we continue to be communicate a lot out to our parents through our virtual backpack. This year we have our online, and I'm also doing a video virtual backpack. So it's a recap of what's in the backpack, so parents can either watch me on YouTube or they can look at it online. We have our near website, we have the TV in the foyer, Facebook, and Twitter. So, and today we had our principal's coffee, which just like at Woodward, it was about volunteering. So we had a great turnout there, and we're so grateful for the support we received from our parents. And tomorrow night's curriculum nights, we're looking forward to inviting parents in. Teachers have worked really hard preparing for this night, and we hope to see a lot of parents join us. And professional development, we have 2 new strands this year, and teachers will engage in learning with Carolina Science in October. And yesterday, during our 5th grade PLC, and tomorrow our 4th grade PLC, we begin our work with our new math curriculum coordinator, Kathy Lazat. So looking forward to working with her and Maggie McGinty. And last but not least, school council and staff at NERI will begin working to build our next school improvement plan for 2018-2020. So looking forward to a terrific year.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Trot years, last but certainly not least, I hope. I am joined by our assistant principal, Gary Hershek, and he'll be able to chime in if needed. But you know, a lot of things are echoed. It was a good start here, pretty smooth all the way around. We added a few more students over the summer, so we want to make sure we acclimate them to our systems relatively quickly, and our kids just gravitate to those opportunities. So that went pretty well for our new students. kind of collectively as a whole, as a campus, we did a lot of work inside the building. We put a new floor in the band room hallway. There's a new presentation system here in the library that we'll be able to enjoy for a school committee, but as well as a lot of other functions for the school. It's going to be it already has been a great addition to the space. So looking forward to utilizing that. We also did something you don't see, but we did have a significant Wi-Fi enhancement happen over the summer, and things have gone really smoothly. We're able to be at capacity with bandwidth and other things like that. So some of the things you do see, the beautification stuff to our Deerfoot entrance, and then things we will definitely see in the near future with the presentation system were part of the summer package. So kind of similar to what the other principals said, our teachers do a lot of work to get prepared. When they came back, we had a consultant ready to welcome us, Karen Martin, who's going to be working with us throughout the year on a lot of inclusion strategies that work for all kids, but certainly to get our kids to full engagement in the classes. So the little things we already know, but things we're continuing to practice with, and that was a good way to kind of get people refreshed and rebooted for the start of the year. Once the students come back, we don't dive right into classes. We have a tradition of starting with a lot of community building, and we did welcome Dick Hoyt, who is part of Team Hoyt. He's the famed Boston marathoner who is, how old is he now?
77.
77 years young, and he hopes to get back on the marathon path shortly. But his son, Dick, is going to be participating in the Ironman triathlon in Hawaii in October. Dick won't, but Rick will be there, so we'll be cheering him on TV. But just the story of inspiration that he brings, the kids were mesmerized by him and what he's been able to accomplish and what he's been able to overcome. So we dovetailed that with an opportunity for our students to start developing goals. And Gary led a community building session around that, where kids had an opportunity just to think, brainstorm, and come together around some goals they might have for the year. And what we're going to do is space out opportunities throughout the year where they can regroup with their homeroom teachers and check progress and stuff like that. So we're excited about adding that to our plan as the year unfolds. New staff, I want to mention that. Mrs. Julie Jenks is our new social studies teacher. She is primarily in the 8th grade, but also teaching some 7th grade classes as well. Mrs. Valcourt is our new Castle program teacher. She's come in running and doing a phenomenal job with that group of students. And we're also joined with 2 new special education aides, Corey Fannin and Katie Dunell, who round out our new hires for the summer. Last Thursday, we had our curriculum night, and I swear this place just comes to life with parents, and the community just loves the evening. We follow a Tuesday schedule, a mini Tuesday schedule, so parents actually get to bounce from class to class, and I think they got a real feel for what their students' world can be like around here, although in a much abbreviated form. And they liked it. I like the ebb and flow of the day. So, well, it's only a 2-hour period. We got to stretch it out a little bit, but at least they get an idea of how the classes change, where before we never did that. So we've been doing that for what, Gary, like 3-4 years? And it's been a great change to how we operate and give people a really good feel for what the building is like. And I think the last thing I wanted to share is our new traffic configuration here at Trottier has paid huge dividends for the safety of kids and the overall congestion that would occur here at Trottier. So the buses are now going around the building and are dropping off on this side, and parent pickup and drop off is now only in the front. And by just separating those 2 major functions of the start and the end of the day has made it much safer passage for kids and staff, and has made things a lot less complicated. So I think I credit the teachers, and I also credit the parents. They followed some pretty complicated instructions to get it started, but it seems like we're falling into a good routine, and hopefully it will continue. Thanks, Ray. Did I miss anything?
That's great. Perfect.
Could I add one thing? Just,
No.
I see Edward in the
Oh, yes.
audience. Just a big thanks to Edward
Yeah.
and the technology staff for getting us where we are. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I think we're actually going to hear from Edward.
We are.
For a little update from the central side.
Sure. So as you know, the learning and the work of teachers does not stop during the summer months. We have a number of professional learning opportunities for teachers to engage in. And during the month of October, I hope to give you a full report of some of those experiences and the work that was accomplished during those months. I'd also like to give you an update on some of the work that's taking place with technology over the summer. We're very fortunate to have a exceptional technology team, a very small team that does a tremendous amount of work in a very short window. As Principal Lavoie mentioned, a lot of the work people don't see because it's behind the scenes, but we did a lot of work moving software and key operations to the cloud, which gives us more efficiency and more security in terms of backup data. So I'd like to acknowledge some of the folks who did this work and then invite a very important person to the table to give you a more in-depth report. Andy Mariotti is the District Technology Operations Manager who did a lot of great work for the 3 districts over the summer. Thomas Karen, who is the Assistant District Technology Operations Manager, also supported the work. And then we had Edouard Mianami, who's here this evening, did an outstanding job as Southborough Systems Technology Administrator, managing projects and preparing for the school year. And I think the principals can attest to the great work that he has accomplished in a short window. And he also had John Wiggins, who is a technology support the work. So I'd like to invite Edouard up to give a brief report on some of the specifics.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, my name is Edouard Bien-Aimé, so I'll be updating you from the tech side of it, the back end, like we always say, technology work of what had happened over the summer. We had a great start of the school year this year. We use a project management software so that we can manage the project that we have. We have a couple of different completed projects and also project in progress as well. So of the completed project, Mr. Lovoy also mentioned that is the Wi-Fi has been reinstalled here. We have all new APs. So what happened is the APs that was from here, I've been able to distribute them to other schools that had older APs as well. So that work is done. They're all in the ceiling. We've installed 4 different sonic wall, which is the firewall system that we use, that will increase security for the school, also increase the bandwidth. So we've jumped from 150 megabits per second speed for bandwidth to 300. So that will give us more bandwidth to facilitate technology and teaching during the school time, so people can browse, stream, and so on and so forth. There's a new card access system, and the technologists team have been involved in the card access for the doors. We on the tech side of it. So as far as importing staff into the system, registering their cards so that they can access the different doors at different times. We had purchased a bunch of new hardware for this year, and these hardware were used to meet the goal of the 1-to-1 for grade 3 to 8 and 2-to-1 for grade K to 2. And in the classroom, we had a lot of multimedia devices that were installed this year. The library here is one of them. 3D printers over at NERI, so that you can see those nice work that was done here at NERI as well. And we have upcoming installation for one of the classroom over at Finn for an interactive projector. We are still preparing student account so that we can ensure that all students have access to the different academic tools that they need to use over the year.
So again, I'd like to commend Edouard for his great work. Very organized, did a great job communicating, working with his colleagues, and again, he's to be commended for the work that was accomplished.
Moving down the table, before we move to the audience, Cheryl, you want to chat a little bit about
Sure, I certainly want
business?
to, I do, but I certainly want to add my appreciation to the custodial staff and to Brent Friday over the summer, because they certainly made our office's life a lot easier and accomplished much work, and it was great. I think it's very safe to say that the summertime is the busiest time of the year for the business office. You know, a lot of people think that it's the slowest time of the year. It is actually the busiest time. We start the summer by closing out a fiscal year, and at the same time opening up a fiscal year. So you have to, times you got to stop and think: are you on the left hand or the right hand? But And then while we're doing that, starting to prepare for the new staff in payroll. I mean, that is a big, I think about the, our payroll staff and all that they do over the summer preparing for that first summer payroll. It really is, it's a lot of work. Happy to say we are now they're finishing up their second payroll for the school year, so they've gotten past that first payroll. Picking up a few late hires, and other than that, that's really all set except for exceptions now for the school year. And also in the midst of that is processing all of the purchase orders for the new school year. The schools like to have the month of June to be able to input purchase orders effective July 1st. So they're sitting there waiting for us, and so we try to get those out as soon as possible so that everything gets in, and so that the schools have the materials and supplies that they need to start the school year. So it's been busy.
Thank you. Education is lifelong learning, and so is the process of providing it, whether it's September or July. So thank you, Cheryl. And then we're so thrilled that we have other central office staff here, administrators joining us this evening. It's what we do at the beginning of the school year. It gives a good overview of some of the projects that are underway and what's taken place. So we have two members of our special ed and student support service department. Deb Lemieux is assistant director for student support, and Marie Allen, who is the director of student support services. And I will move down, I believe so. Deb can join us.
Good evening, everyone. For our district, our school year does not end in June. Our summer was bustling with activity for our Southborough students, who continued their academic and social learning through our extended school year programming at Finn, Trotter, and Malkin. Our principals and custodians were so helpful, as you've heard mentioned tonight, in maintaining a beautiful learning environment for our schools as the custodians readied the school for the fall. So there's always a balance in that piece. We held a transportation meeting with Vanpool and Assabet Valley Collaborative at the end of last year for parents who were new to van transportation, and it proved helpful as transportation issues were fewer this summer than last summer. Parents had highlighted transportation as an area for improvement from last summer's programming, and because of the efficacy and the helpfulness of Vanpool in Assabet Valley in talking to new parents about van transportation for the summer, we will continue those meetings for next year. Deb Lemieux and I traveled the district and visited open houses and classrooms. At the start of this school year, we opened with a successful launch of our elementary therapeutic learning program at Lincoln Street School, and that's in Northborough, but it services both towns. This open house was well attended. Students were all smiles and busily engaged in activities planned by the staff. Our Castle program open house at Trotter was also a big hit. Our NEC partnership program made a successful transition over the summer to Trotter Middle School from Neary, as did the Castle program from Finn to Woodward. Our preschool program welcomed all of our students in one facility at Finn for the first time. And our numbers are up, and all are looking forward to being together in one location this year. It has been a wonderful start, and it was evident from our visits from Deb and I that all of our teams are engaged and energized as they prepare for the new school year. So good start. Any questions? Thank you.
Rhoda, we usually look forward to your December presentation.
Yes.
And she's working on that already, actually, but has definitely some highlights of summer activities, as always.
So we had an amazing summer. We had in August a 3-week or 2-week program for our English learners. It was housed once again at Z School, and we brought together from our both communities 71 students with 10 adult teachers and 2 English-Spanish bilingual high school students from Algonquin as volunteers. One worked with our middle school students, and the other one worked with our elementary lower grade students as volunteers. It brings a great sense of community when everyone is together. What everyone has in common is another language and English. Our theme this year was the language of STEM, and specifically targeting how to have academic conversations using very specific skills. To be able to build on the children's language proficiency level, we're using very technical language, but also how to be able to provide and agree or disagree supported by evidence. The highlight was that all 71 students went to visit WPI on August 21st. Ken Stafford organized a very nice morning for us and devoted a lot of time to our students. And they were exposed to the robotics lab there. He is the professor and the director of the Robotics Resource Center there. And we were all in awe. Our students were able to ask questions. We divided them into K through 3 and then 4 through high school. So it was tailored towards their age group. And we actually saw the robots that they have there and that they have built. And they were able to drive one of them. Children came every day very engaged and smiling, wondering what the challenge was going to be for that day because it was very hands-on. We surveyed parents and they're very grateful. They always say, could you add more weeks to the program? And the children came with a smile. And I think that we had great comments, but the one that I think you can't dispute that one was a student that actually traveled with a family to go and see the total solar eclipse. And she said that actually the summer camp was her favorite part, much better than seeing the total solar eclipse. So that was, of course, brought smiles to our eyes. Our staff worked very hard, and under the guidance of Sandy Buncic, who's our ELD curriculum leader, it was just a fantastic summer. So look forward to coming back later on in the year. Thank you.
I have one question.
Yes.
There were 71 students
in total,
in
K
total.
through 12.
Oh,
K through 12.
Oh, approximately.
20 from Southborough.
Okay, 20 from
Yes.
Southborough?
Yes.
And
Which
how
makes it brings everyone. What is nice is that students became reacquainted with
Yeah.
friends that they made last year, and they made new friends. So that when they meet up in
Oh, there
Algonquin,
you go.
that creates a very nice sense of community because we do a lot of activities all together. So it would make for for smaller programs if we divided that up.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it. And it was very nice to see our parents arrive every day with the kids. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just wondered if there's 20 from Southborough, so that would mean that there's more than 50 from Northborough.
And
Do they have-
Algonquin.
and
So we're not
Algonquin.
right,
Okay,
right, and
that's it.
Algonquin,
And
because we
Algonquin,
do
too.
K through 12.
Yeah,
And so there's plenty of interaction across age groups as well,
yeah,
to make it multi-age as well. But that included Algonquin, yes.
okay, thanks.
Yes. Thank you.
And throughout the presentations, we've heard about the wonderful staff that have joined our school community and our Southborough school family. And a lot of that, almost all of it, passes through Rebecca Pellegrino's office. So she'll give us a little bit of a snapshot on what the summer was like for you, Rebecca, as Human Resource Administrator.
Well, like Cheryl said, I think the summer is definitely the busiest time of the year, not just in the business office, but in the human resource office as well. In total, we welcomed 67 new staff to the district. 16 of those were Southborough specific, and 7 of the 16 were actually licensed educators as well. So it was a pretty even split. One of those being Steve, of course, so welcome to the district. We also, this summer, had new carpeting installed, so that made for a unique challenge to bring new employees in, but I think it was welcoming to them all the same, even amid the boxes that we had in the offices. This summer we also upgraded our web system, or rather our budget send system, our Infinite Visions, and we are moving to a web portal. It's actually cloud-based now, and it does allow the office staff and the principals to not only enter their purchase orders that they've always been able to do, but they're able to do it through a web portal. They're also able to take attendance, staff attendance at the building level. Previously, this had been done through Excel spreadsheets, and we would get the attendance every 2 weeks. So we would often find out about staff absences long after they happened. So if there was some sort of a sensitive situation, we needed to be aware of a bereavement situation, we would find out 2 weeks down the road. And so it made it difficult for us to not be able to respond accordingly. So this daily attendance really does give us that ability to know what's going on in our staff's life. So we appreciate all the principals who have so willingly embraced this new system and their staff, because they've really done a great job at picking this up. And I think, there are a few little kinks in the road when we first implemented it, but we've been able to work them out. And it was just another, I think, way that we were able to all work together as a team to put this new process in place. Eventually, this web portal is something that our employees are going to be able to use as well, and we're very excited about this because it will give them access to, their pay stubs. It will give them the ability to access their W-2s online. So if they're applying for loans or mortgages, they can access it without having to contact us for a copy of it. It will be available to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they can also, there's a calculator, they can go online and figure out if they want to contribute more to a retirement account, or if they want to change their withholdings, what that would look like on their pay stub. So we're hoping to implement that over the next few months. There are a few things we need to do internally first, but overall the start of the school year was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're only 2 weeks into the school year. I would like to add just a couple other notes. Edward had mentioned the key access, no key access to the FOG, and that is something that we have been very much looking forward to adding to the Southborough schools as part of our continued safety and school readiness activities. We dreamt of this 5 years ago, and I think it shows what can happen when we work together as a team. We have a good outcome in mind, and we're very playful along the way. And I thank everybody that was involved in that process, because that is the intent. It's not a convenience, it's to make our schools more inviting and safe at the same time. So to everyone, thank you. The one piece that you may not have heard about is how much professional development our administrative team participates in over the summer. We are NASA, and yes, that does stand for rocket science, and I think that's exactly what our leadership team is all about. They're always looking and being mindful about thinking forward, not only about other staff members, teachers, professional growth, but their own as well. And that's how together we move the district forward. And NASA participated in our review of our instructional rounds. It's a multi-year program, much like many of the activities that we engage in. Our Atlas was 5 years, 3 to 5 years, and we finished on time. Our instructional rounds began with a cohort of our administrative team who attended a workshop offered at Harvard University at the most best time in New England to travel. I think we canceled school 2 days that week because it was snowy and windy and cold, and they managed to get to class every day, and I don't think they were tardy ones. And so they brought that back because it's a collaborative initiative, a train the trainer, and so with everything else that you heard today, they were mindful of the importance of their own professional development, and we as a district are very much committed to that process. So it was a great opportunity for all of us to come together and enjoy learning together as we move forward, and we'll be talking a lot more about how that's going to roll out over time. We also heard a lot about summer programs. That wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the commitment from our professional staff. Rhoda mentioned there were 10 teachers. The programs that Marie had mentioned involve a lot of our faculty, and we would not be able to offer those if we had no faculty. And we're delighted that many of our students are able to continue their learning through the summer with folks that they know regularly through the school year. And that's about their commitment to our children. And so to have them present is very important as well. And I know Dave Finneran is in the audience. Greg and I had the opportunity to travel to each school. We know that it can be done and still have time for conversation. 10 schools in 6 hours. But what was most exciting was that enthusiasm that's felt throughout the school year did not wane over the summer months. And having the opportunity to have worked with them throughout the year, through difficult conversations, I can attest that that same level of enthusiasm and spirit will continue throughout the school year. And that's what energizes our students and it energizes our district and really brings about a love for learning. So I could not be more honored and proud to work with this administrative team and our teaching staff, supportive parents, wonderful students. And the school committee worked also this summer for probably the second summer. We met several times in policy subcommittee. The committee came together to do some forward thinking and some planning about the school for the school year. So everyone worked through the summer, as it should be, as we prepare for our students. So thank you all for everything that you do.
And I want to say thank you. I'm just glad to see everybody back. You know, it's just, you know, it's been a while. You know, not for me and Christine.
We've been here.
But, you know, it's good to see everybody, so.
Yes.
And I can attest to the open house, the wonderful open house before school started. I only got to see woodwork, but it was just great. And I think it is a wonderful chance for the kids to kind of settle in. And it's clear that a lot of work happens over the summer and to prepare for that as well. So it's great to see.
Okay, next on the agenda is legislative update.
We love these, no action required. It's nice to have that conversation. We discussed each and every year different legislative initiatives that take place, and from time to time it's been on the agenda or not on the agenda. And I think as we prepared for this year, we agreed that that's something that wanted to be on the agenda as issues and as situations arose. I know that this year MASC and MASS joined together once again, and that joint conference is actually about 5 days earlier than it has been in the past. It's November 1st. And a number of school committee members routinely attend. And from that conference then comes a lot of information about what's happening at the legislative level. Earlier today was at a Mars conference, and they began to share the different things that are coming up at the State House level. And so I'm sure this will fill up very quickly. But for now, I know Paul usually have a lot of updates as well as the year progresses, but for tonight and from my side, my input, it's a sort of a placeholder for exciting things to come, or not exciting.
Something about circuit breaker didn't look good.
Actually, circuit breaker was up, according to today's numbers, about 500,000. And regional transportation, which doesn't directly affect us, but it does affect us somewhat because we tear off of that, was up to 73% reimbursement. I don't think we talked today, we haven't received our circuit breaker actual dollars yet. So in terms of what percent that is this year, I know it's published. I don't think it's been reduced, but the slight increase is just that, slight increase. And as much as we're excited that regional transportation went up to 73%, they also added that regional charter school systems, I think I mentioned this last year, regional charter school systems are now available to access those funds. So any money that went up probably will end up being divvied up among amongst the charter schools and the public regional school systems as well. And so that might mean in the end, it isn't 73% for us. In real dollars, it could actually be a decrease. So time will tell. It's a little bit new for that. Slight increase in Chapter 70. We're going to be meeting with town manager soon, town administrator Mark Purple soon. In fact, we had an invite to move capital planning along too. So we'll be talking a little bit about that.
And next is the Municipal Technology Committee discussion.
So it's on the agenda. Again, no action required this evening. I had an occasion to talk to Mark Purple about where this stood. It was something that we spent a lot of time on last year. And I think we're fairly successful in having an integral part in the final language that was approved at town meeting. I attached a copy of what that language finally looked like. And in the end, I think it means that the school committee will be well represented with 2 members on that committee and ad hoc as we move on to be determined. The selectmen did take, the Board of Selectmen in Southborough took this up for conversation at one of their meetings this summer with no finalized outcome at this point, at least according to Mark Purple, as to how the membership or how that convening of this new committee will happen. Asked, is there something we should be doing at this point? And the answer was pretty much hold, and if we can, and wait to see what the Board of Selectmen might be offering in terms of how they're proposing to go about soliciting for participation. So we're right where everyone else is. Kind of folding, but pleased that this is moved forward.
Yeah, I looked at the town website tonight. I think they had a little banner there saying looking for volunteers. And I believe that this was one of the committees. I think there's 2 committees they were looking for volunteers for. So it looks as if they've taken some kind of action. But on this one, though, I'm thinking more, this is kind of like Roger's really important thing. And he's not here tonight, but we should keep it on the agenda, because I think that maybe the next meeting he'll be here and he can talk a little bit more about it. Because, at some point, we'll have to have a process for interviewing candidates that we want as a school committee to have on that board. Whether they come through the selectmen or how they come in here, I think I'd like to have his input to it.
Agreed. Absolutely.
You're right, the town has something up. They're accepting applications for
Yeah.
a couple of different committees.
And I believe that's new. I think that was just as, I check that site fairly often. I think it wasn't on the,
this week or last.
yeah, it wasn't on there last time I looked, so.
I think the last time we talked about sort of working in collaboration with them, and, rather than both of us going off in our own direction.
Yeah.
Screen candidates together, so maybe we can piggyback on this one.
Okay.
In the meantime, I chat with Mark weekly, several times, and this is something that we keep having a conversation about, as well as, I know we haven't moved to the next item, but the next item as well. And I know that's on the agenda. Transition to that one, but it's really based the same place. They're in the process of the municipal public safety building. And I know, Jerry, you actually had the good fortune to attend a meeting this summer, but what they have assured us is that they're very mindful that we want to be involved and should be involved in every aspect of this build-out, and that, Mark said, you're going to have a seat in the trailer. And for that, we know what that means, having just completed a renovation in another district. And sometimes it means we sit and listen, and sometimes it means we have some meaningful input. So I know Principal Mucci will be also very much involved in that process. But at this point, I don't know if we're going to see shovels in the ground until May. So we've got a lot of time to be participating and engaged in the conversation. As we know, there's no identified funding for any proposed rerouting of the Woodward entrance exit, but to be present at the table means opportunities and moments to be seized if there's a window of.
Yeah, and we want to just, we want to stay on top of that, because if it's done right at the time they're doing the work initially, it'll be a lot easier.
Right.
And I know there isn't funding for it, but maybe this is something this year, with the help of the selectmen and some discussions, we can kind of figure out together how to go about this.
So the good news is they know we're there and we will be there. So I think that's very positive.
Okay, school committee meeting change of date.
So this is actually something to consider. We can or not take action on this. We have a very exciting presenter as part of our, I think this is our 4th year of speaker series. And it continues to be a very popular event. And as we know, the topics and the presenters vary depending on the issues or the topics of interest in schools and to also our school community. Greg has done a great job of taking this speaker series and moving it forward. This year we have 3, and the keynote speaker for the second presentation is actually going to be held at Algonquin Regional High School from 6 to 9. And I'm going to turn this over to Greg so he can speak a little bit more about what that is.
So we are partnering with the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation and Millennium Health to present a short film called If Only. And it really speaks to the dangers of teens and prescription drug abuse. And then the viewing will be followed by a panel discussion with some of the key folks in the community around what they're seeing in terms of patterns or trends. During this presentation also, exhibit will be set up at the high school called Hidden in Plain Sight, which is basically a bedroom that is set up, and basically parents are walked through to kind of look at where potential hiding places that parents might not be aware of, where students might hide prescription drugs or drug paraphernalia. So, we're excited about the evening. We think it's an important topic, and there's a bit of a conflict with the school committee date and this presentation, and so we'd ask for your thought about rescheduling or moving it earlier.
I do want to add that we did not choose this date. We have the benefit, as this speaker series has moved forward, of really piggybacking on some of the grant funds and the funded activities that are available to us through a lot of our collaborative partnerships at the community and within the business community. And so I think that our first presentation was Dr. Judith Owens right here at Trotter on a sleep study about 4 years ago, and we seeded with sort of venture funding, if you will, grant funds, all of the speaker series the first year, and since that time we're at a point where most of this is at no cost. So it's a great opportunity for us to engage with the community on topical issues. So we've heard and we've had great conversations about this presentation. Hidden in Plain Sight, I think, was in Southborough as an exhibit in the church, and a lot of folks did not get to see that, and it was not married necessarily with the panel discussion or the presentation, the video presentation. So we're very fortunate to have this in our district. And so a lot of people have indicated that they would like to attend. And of course, we know that there's a tremendous viewing audience for our school committee meetings, and we would not want to give them a point at which they had to make a decision. So whether the school committee wanted to leave the date and the time as it stands, start earlier that evening or change the date. And I think I just wanted to bring this up for conversation in case we wanted to make sure we maximize participation in the event.
Right. I would think that this is kind of important, not just for parents, but for you too. So that people will be able to, anybody can go and see this. Mm-hmm. Maybe just a Google poll to the school committee members and see when they're available.
Is there a preference? Another day? We can pick some days in the calendar.
What time does it start?
It starts at 6.
It starts at 6, so it makes that night not very reasonable in terms of trying to time anything, right? Am I correct? Do you guys agree?
I agree, yeah. We should just change the day.
Yeah, just change the day. And I think I would prefer to change it to another day that week if we could.
Right.
Maybe change it to Tuesday night. Well, is that November 8th? That's a Wednesday. 'Cause I thought there was one that was on a Tuesday in here somewhere, but we could maybe change it to the 7th. Something like that. But maybe the input from people on a doodle poll might be helpful.
We will get one out tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe offer just a couple of days.
November 7th is election day.
Okay, November 7th.
Problem.
So we can't do that.
The 6th
Is
an extraordinary, ordinary Monday.
there we go. It's Election Day Eve. Sounds like a nice
Election
national
Day
school meeting.
Eve. And at least it's not a presidential election this year.
Right.
So, and then
That's just a town election, right? Is that really out?
Trotter
Trotter
is packed. Yeah, we're the home site, and this year.
They're moving everybody to Trotter.
Right.
Right. It's everybody's, on these elections, everybody might not be a lot of people. I mean,
Right.
we want it to be a lot, right? But it might not be a real lot, so.
And then Thursday, November 9th, looks open, but that's the eve of Veterans Day. And so that might be difficult.
So
for
Monday
some.
sounds pretty good, right?
Monday sounds probably the most likely.
Does it sound good to you? Because at least we know we'd have a quorum.
It's good for me, yeah.
It's good for me too.
Okay. I'll still send the poll out
Right.
so that everyone else on the committee, so Mary Beth and Roger can see who can attend and so forth. Thank you. And 6:30 start? 6:30 start?
6:30 sounds fine.
Okay. Thank you.
And the next item is approval of grants and donations, and I guess, do we need a vote on this, or?
We do. We need to
Okay.
vote to accept. We have 3 wonderful donations from organizations and community members who continue to support the good work that goes on in our schools on behalf of our students. Keita's here. If there are any questions, we can vote to accept them all at once. Read them into the record, of course, and then move to accept them. I don't know if you'd like to add anything to these.
No, it's just been great. We've had a lot of parents through their own places of work, or even through just collections that they're doing on behalf of a teacher, providing a donation to the school, and we're very grateful for these opportunities, and are able to bring it back to programs for the kids and do things for the building and school. So it's been outstanding.
But it's very generous.
It's very generous. It's outstanding, and they seem to keep coming, which is a wonderful thing. And we're just extremely grateful, and I think it's just a way for people to say thank you, and they're doing it in a great form that will go right back to the school. So we're really, really appreciative.
And what is the A+ rewards program?
That's something that we push at the beginning of the year, where parents can put their Stop and Shop card.
Okay, I do that. Okay, so
You got it. So you contributed. Thank you. We appreciate your weekly grocery. Yeah, so that has been something we've pushed for the past few years. We've gotten a good representation from Trotter. We're very fortunate to have it, and it always seems to creep up every year into over $500, I believe, was the latest this past year's contribution. So we're very appreciative of that. I think it started the first year we did it. I think we got $20. Back and we're like, well, is this really worth? And look where it's come to in less than, I think, 8 years. I think we've done this.
It adds up.
Oh, it sure does. You don't think about it, and then all of a sudden April pops around, and that's what it ends. It ends early, right? Like April, and then we get our report, and I'm like, okay, all right, keep that. Yeah.
Okay, so we need a motion.
I'll make a motion. We vote to accept a donation of $535 from the Bush family to support Trotter's middle school music program, as well as a donation of $750 from the Boy Scouts. I believe that's Troop 1, from Joe Green's Eagle Project for beautification projects at Trotter Middle School, and a donation of $506.50 made on the part of the A+ Rewards program to Trotter Middle School.
And second?
I'll second.
And all in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And old business.
Bold but exciting. Distribution of the subcommittee assignments for this year and liaison assignments. This is just a quick review. We haven't really published this list yet. We just wanted to do a double check at the first meetings. And this is what we have. Obviously, Ms. Polechko is no longer on the collective bargaining subcommittee because she's no longer on the school committee. But at this point, we probably don't have to worry about that for a couple of years.
Well,
given that we
she's
just
not on.
finished. Right, like curriculum advisory and legislative ad hoc and communications ad hoc. And I think we managed to strike her from policy development subcommittee because we met this summer, so we noted that. I just also want to remind, with respect to policy development, when we do have combined meetings, we do send that doodle poll out, try to understand if we're going to have representation from the committees. We just sent a doodle poll out, but at some point, if a quorum is not realized, we're going to send this out to the full committees. So that's coming your way. And at that point, anyone can serve as an alternate on behalf of the school committee. Should we not have a quorum of each committee? And we're attempting to identify those dates as well. To have 3 meetings this year, we have big policies that are district-wide to take a look at.
Now, even on something like the operational budget subcommittee and capital planning, even though there's only 3 of us on the subcommittee right now, usually everybody would be invited.
Everyone's invited and we post them all,
So
just in case.
It's actually important that everybody, especially when it comes to the budget, that everybody tries to get to it.
And that's worked really well because it gives us all an opportunity to engage in the conversation. And really, when we come to the school committee for the presentation, everyone has to have a part of that. And I think that's true of all of them as well, Jerry, the excellent point, capital.
Okay.
And we do post them all.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about an unexpected quorum, because we do post.
And so it's just so the public knows too, even on a policy meeting, anybody can come. And sometimes we do have other school committee members show up that aren't on the, that aren't on the subcommittee. And sometimes we even have other people come who just want to attend and stuff. So it's just so people know that others are always invited.
Just as a thought, I don't think we added this, and just to go over this list, we do have a date for the solar feasibility study group to reconvene. I am confirming the date that the committee members picked with the representative from Ty Bond to make sure that date works for her. So we'll be sending that back out. Great representation from Southborough. But with this in mind, not knowing where the public building discussion will be headed this year, knowing that myself as superintendent will be there, do we also want, and Steve as well as principal, do we want to think about appointing a liaison to that process from the school committee?
I think we could. I mean, I've been filling in so far. I'd be glad to do it.
But you do have a special role as chair.
I'm the only person that can sign on some of the things that have to do with that. I'll be glad to do it. I mean, I'll officially be the person.
We'll add that to the list of a facility liaison, just so it goes on the record.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you need me to volunteer for this, but anywhere that Kathleen was, that if it makes sense to still have the same number of people on the subcommittee, I'm happy to do it, so.
You're there.
Right.
You're on the list. It will be distributed with your name.
Great. And
inserted.
Then the other thing is Mary Beth and I, well, I wasn't sure if Mary Beth wanted to continue to be the liaison for SOS and NSPAC, because I'm happy to do that since I'm around all the time, but maybe we'll wait until she's here and make that official. But just as a thought, maybe just hold that for next time.
We actually will be having our first superintendent advisory, which is an opportunity for all of the parent organizations throughout the district to come together and share practice and just have conversations about anything that they want to raise or want to discuss. So they share all kinds of information, and it's pretty invigorating. Our first meeting is this Friday at Central at 9:30. They generally run till 11 o'clock. Might be a nice opportunity if we'd love to have you.
Yeah, okay. I think I can make the beginning of it. Okay.
Oh, it's an open door policy.
Oh, okay.
People come, they go, they
Oh, I
stay,
see.
they leave, so it's very welcoming.
Great.
Thank you.
And the next item is the final FY17 budget expenditure report.
The expenditure report for the end of the 2017 school year, the appropriation, the expenditure of the appropriated budget is enclosed in your packet. And generally, this is a distribution. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions. I want to thank Cheryl and all the principals for being budget-minded and budget-conscious at all times. At this point, it's a vote to accept until audited.
I was going to say it's very good. We're $1,000 favorable to the budget. So for all those people that think that there's a lot of money that's out there, that we basically come to within $1,000 of our plan. Okay, and that's really good work, especially on the end of the business office side, to always come in, Cheryl, every year like this. And there's never a surprise, and it's always right in there. So that's very much appreciated. And if there's nothing else, I'll need a motion to approve.
I move that we vote to approve the final fiscal year 2017 end of year general fund expenditure report until audited.
In a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you. And as Cheryl eloquently pointed out, in the summer, you're not quite sure if you have a foot in 17 or an arm in 18. But both of them are ongoing as we close out one and welcome the next budget cycle. And believe it or not, we're already talking about FY19. So.
And not everybody else knows that it does take work, and it takes vigilance to basically come right in on a budget. And it takes a lot of, well, like I said, Cheryl, it's the end of a reporting period and going into a new one. And that's the most important thing in the world at that particular time, for everybody.
It is.
So, very good. I've always appreciated it. And I'm not sure, I think it's an underappreciated role sometimes that you have. But thank you very much for all that you've done.
Thank you very much.
And there we have it, FY18. First month, or first expenditure report, as of August 31st. And as you can see, those purchase orders that Cheryl had mentioned were in play throughout the summer. The principals are very much on top of what their needs are and do all they can to make sure that the supplies and the materials and the resources are available for the students on day one. So that process starts really even before 1 year closes, and just in preparation for those items to arrive over the summer. So again, a vote to approve until audited would be appreciated, and certainly happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. We did miss the enrollments, which we should go back to once we've done. We can just finish this up. And the September 2017 enrollments, we want to make sure we don't somehow miss going through that, because that's kind of important.
It is important.
So in terms of the expenditure report as of August 31st, I need a motion.
I'll move that we vote to approve the Southborough Public School District fiscal 2018 budget monthly general fund expenditure report as of August 31st, 2017 until audit.
I'll second.
All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you. And as you pointed out, enrollments. I think I need eyeglass. I'll put a space in between the 1 and the 2 to make the we have not only the more familiar enrollment projection and actual enrollments, again, as of September 1st, but I also included the NESDEC information. It's nice to see where we are tracking with NESDEC projections. And I believe in 17 and 18, NESDEC had PK through 8 or K through 8 at 1229. And that K-8 number did not include the pre-K number. So we're above, I think, the projections at this point.
Yeah.
So we're in good shape. And at the beginning of, or through the budget cycle, we were watchful of the kindergarten numbers. We've never quite hit that magic 140 that was predicted every year, but you know, we did see an increase in our enrollment. The half-day kindergarten students are blended in with our full day, and I would ask Clayton if I'm sure that's gone very well.
It's been very smooth.
Right.
Yeah, yes, it's been.
And also, Clayton, as a new principal, you are welcomed in more preschool students than we have ever had. Enrollments up in Southborough, and they're up slightly because we had some additional Northborough students attending, which has been a phenomenal experience for expanded cohort modeling and also professional development, having all of the preschool staff together. I will note that in Southborough's enrollments, we always carry the preschool numbers, the total preschool numbers. And having the Northborough students with us is not a new phenomenon. A number of the programs that we offer at the preschool are made available to all students because we do have that collaborative arrangement. And that really does help in terms of sharing the fiscal realities of offering very specialized programming. And so there's a tremendous benefit. And thank you, because that was a real challenge this summer, one that you embraced wholeheartedly. And from what we gathered from Sue O'Keefe, the preschool director, everyone felt incredibly welcome to be at the Finn School. And a lot of that goes to you and the atmosphere created.
Thank you. Yeah. It
Very
continues. They're having a great transition in. They feel comfortable. The kids are doing well. The parents have not really complained at all. They've been happy to be here. As Sue mentioned, I think at the end of the year, she had some open houses and opportunities to help parents with that transition, and that was very beneficial. And the payoff we have seen at the start of the year.
Thank you.
So when we're looking at the pre-K number, we're looking at Northborough and Southborough combined, but it's always in the Southborough numbers, so it's always the combined number.
Yes, we have to report out by location.
Right. Even though that's not a guiding number, so that's it's a number that we have on the report, but it's not really something that we use really to help us understand populations in the future so much.
Not really.
Yeah.
And if we looked back in time at what the pre-K enrollment was, there really isn't a direct correlation to kindergarten. We use the census information. And I would have to give a shout out to our town clerk, Jim Haggerty, is doing amazing work with making sure that census data is incredibly credible. He's got some new strategies in place. He's stopped down a couple times to talk to us about, with me about strategies to make sure that census information is accurate, is timely, and that information is shared more readily with the schools. So we're looking forward to that because that does guide our work as we're starting to plan for the next fiscal year.
And that's actually really important, and it's so good that he's taking charge and helping us out like that, because getting to a good kindergarten number is very difficult. And anything that they can help us, any process they can go through that can help us with that, will be extremely appreciated. Okay? Because that drive, the kindergarten numbers drive the forecast. This is for people that everybody here knows it, but that drives the entire forecast going forward. So right now it looks like we're up 7 over what we had thought, 6 people over what we had thought. That's not insignificant. That's actually, a fairly substantial, increase. It's not huge, but 6 people that's about about a third of a classroom. And we also have to just take a look at what's going on in some of the towns around us. I think one of them was Ashland is one, and I believe Hopkinton. I mean, there's a lot of growth in kindergarten classes in the towns around us, and there's no good reason to think that it's not going to somehow get here. Okay, as sales increase and there's an improvement in the real estate market, there'll be bigger kindergarten classes. But again, we need help from the town clerk on that so that we can see this more visibly.
And we are seeing the effects of homes being sold by residents whose families and children have progressed through the system and are now in college and beyond. And we experienced that this summer in our other borough, a significant spike in 2 months. And so there's no reason, as you suggest, that it wouldn't come our way as well.
That's right, especially if something, on the horizon potentially, well, it has been for quite a while, is Park Central, and anything else that might go on that could be a huge increase in the amount of housing in the town. So we just need to just keep an eye on it, make sure people are cognizant that these are things that we watch and that will really affect populations. So next was the kindergarten transition update, but I think we just did that, did we not?
I think we talked about the importance of the kindergarten numbers, and it's ever more so important as we continue to implement our strategy around moving from tuition-based to free full-day kindergarten. We worked, Cheryl and I met several times on these numbers over the summer, and again, it was a moving target in terms of what the enrollment was, because as this presents that the projection was 121, that was as of June 22nd. When we were building our budget, it was below that. It was probably around 114 when we were building our budgets, and we saw it steadily increase. And so at midpoint, I think this summer, July 24th, there's a copy of the letter that went out to the parents. We did say as we were moving through this that we needed time, that we just didn't want to predetermine an amount that we were going to suggest enrollment tuition would drop by. And so we did that throughout the summer. And the number that you see does not always represent the number of full tuition paid. So the number is significantly lower than that. But I'm pleased to share that the strategies that we had in mind as we move towards this, not setting a particular period of time, not setting a particular amount, but also being cognizant of the reality that whatever we receive, we don't want to spend down, because we have to have some reserve to prepare for unexpected financial increases. If the numbers had shot up, we might have had to add a teacher. And so what we want to do is make sure that we do have a reserve so that it's not negatively impacting either the revolving account, tuition revolving account, or the operational budget, as we continue to strategize how this plays out. And I will share again that as I go out and about and talk with other schools, this is not a unique situation for Southborough. There are still 80, 90 school districts that do not have free full-day K. And we continue to be, I guess, applauded for our efforts to find a creative way to eventually move to a free full-day program without significant impact in any given year on the operational budget. Last year, the presentation that was given, I think at the recommended budget time, we had anticipated that our total K costs, and total K costs really are all about salaries, our teachers and our aides. No grant money, so full cost of the district, a combination of revenue sources, was $694,485. And we came in only 2.6% below that projection. So our overall costs were actually $712,576. So we were ecstatic. We were able to be financially prudent and lower the tuition by $300 and still allow us a reserve should there be an unexpected reality that may somehow affect the operational budget. So we shifted a significant amount. We did say 68%, that was our target, and we've held to that. But we also have the flexibility should, as I said, an unexpected, and that includes about 50 things that I'm sure Cheryl and I can both come up with, occurs. We do have that reserve sitting in revolving account so that we can use that if we have to journal entry off of operational budget back to revolving. We also know that because we have this reserve, if all goes as we hope this year, that's a greater likelihood that we'll be able to reduce again this year from the 2950 number while we simultaneously transition funds to the operational budget. So I know that this is very involved and there are many variables yet not known. That's why they're variables. What I would like to suggest is that this update become a regular part of the budget presentation, the expenditure report, so that we together are having this conversation as we move forward. But we're very excited. So there was, in addition to the fact that there was a reduced tuition, there's also a reduction in revenues because we do give waivers. So the combination was about a $76,000 reduction, yet we were still able to make our 68% mark, maintain a reserve for unanticipated expenditures, emergencies, and then that still gives us a comfort zone, a little bit of a comfort zone moving forward in that there is a greater likelihood we will be able to fund a reduction and not significantly hit the operational budget.
So with the
good news.
With the waivers, I would call that subsidized. Was that significantly greater than planned?
It's hard to plan for it. We have historical. I have in front of me 7 years of history.
It's okay because but the amount that was expected that was actually
It's
recognized was greater than we expected.
Slightly from last year.
Okay.
Last year was about 33,000, but we also have 13 more students.
Okay.
So proportionately, it could be tracking the same.
Okay.
We had no concerns expressed by any. I don't know if Clayton, you had any concerns that went your way at the building level.
No.
The letters went out happily uneventful, I guess. So we were pleased that we didn't have a lot of concerns.
But I think we just keep moving in the direction that we started last year and do the best we can.
I also think we've been very transparent
Right.
and have engaged in a lot of conversations with folks about the process and what it would look like as it plays out here at school committee, but also with different groups that have come in to have conversations with us.
And next on the agenda is, what's on the agenda every year at this time is budget priorities.
And there it is, FY19, right in front of us in writing.
This is a copy and paste from like 2011. Right?
That's right. Not
Better
quite.
each week.
FY18.
Backing off that kindergarten discussion, I thought we should add something about kindergarten. And
Right.
Saying that we
Yep.
want to continue to reduce kindergarten tuition as quickly as possible in a fiscally responsible way or something like that.
Yeah, I think wording that, would be to continue on the path of reducing kindergarten tuition in a fiscally responsible way. I'm just thinking out loud here, Paul.
Yeah.
A goal is to continue on the path. Does that sound okay? or-
Yeah, I'd say continue to move on a path to tuition-free
Yeah,
kindergarten.
that's as a goal, because we want to specifically call that out, right? Because it's,
I think we should.
yeah. Well, you know what it is, it's one of our major programs right now. So it's one of the big changes that was put into place last year. And so sometimes, even though to the budget, it's not a huge part of the budget, it is an important piece of what's new to the business. But it's new to what we've been doing, so.
Usually at this time, we, as an administrative team, gather also to prioritize some of the, either the programs or the initiatives taking place at the district level, but also within each school. And so when we gather at our next Southborough principals meeting, this is going to be a topic of conversation. So what I would like to request of the committee is that I bring those back for another conversation. I know last year we talked about the priorities for a couple months, but to bring back our collective input as we think about priorities for next year.
Okay. Yes. That would be great. I mean, the first item on here is fund high priority items as identified in Vision 2020, as well as by school councils and building principals, when possible. I mean, we could put bullet points under that for whatever you come up with.
And even Vision, I'm just thinking out loud here, even Vision 2020 is, that's a relatively old document now that we have, I mean, it's 5 years old, right? Is it?
I have that look because it's
But
already time to review
Well,
it.
no, actually, it kind of, what we've sort of been doing is not really necessarily looking at the whole thing. But I think that you've taken an approach over the last couple of years of looking at different pieces of strategy and adjusting along the way. I'm thinking if we want to word that, put that in there and find some way to word that, or just leave it alone, not even touch that.
That is still the strategic plan that guides our district.
Right.
We are, and we will be talking about this more at the combined level, but we do have an overarching plan that will migrate or transition or update 2020 to 2025, probably this summer, with a draft prepared for school committee's review in the fall, so that it doesn't stop, it transitions into the next 5-year cycle. Much of the instructional rounds work that we're doing will have an influence, a positive influence on the new version of the strategic plan. The first version of the strategic plan, we sort of re-energized that. It was a tremendous initiative within the district. And if you look at the plan, it's really about making sure that we have equity of access to the resources that we felt at that time were so important for us to do our work. And so the cornerstones are very tangible. They're things like technology and infrastructure and curriculum alignment and the new Common Core and the new standards and the resources to support that. I think that the strategic plan moving forward will have a new look and a greater emphasis on teaching and learning. And so that will be guided by a lot of the work that we're doing together as an administrative team. So that means then that Kathleen's going to be presenting her next 2-year strategic plan, and that will probably be the last plan that's presented from Neary School with the same 4 cornerstones, because it will move. And we're very, very excited about doing that work together. But it also gives us a great opportunity to say, wow, look at the work that we did and the progress we made on the plan that we were working with. So that's exciting.
Yeah, so basically, kind of leave it the way it is.
I would.
Then next year, it might look a little bit different.
Maybe 20, 25.
Okay, so next is budget calendar.
We did change the look of this a little bit. Instead of being very specific to September, October, we broadened sort of the window of the months. And as we know, this is a document that continues to grow as we move through the budget cycle. And with the invitation to sit with town administrator, probably this month, if we can find time in the budget, that will be added to our September, October calendar. as an initial conversation, which we generally have. And so this is very much in the infancy stage, and it's always fun to take a look back at this budget calendar and realize that the front page is full of the back pages too, because there's a lot that goes into the budget process, and there are a lot of folks engaged in that. No action required.
And educational policy?
None at this time.
Okay, not at this time. Policy subcommittee meetings and status.
Busy summer, as we mentioned. We met on August 4th, reviewed all of the policies that we felt needed to be reviewed this year. We created a meeting schedule, which is coincidentally, Greg, I think you're handling the Southborough policy this year, meets tomorrow night. But it was great because we were able to outline the meeting dates early in the year with the policy subcommittee members. That was exciting, we were able to do that. Hey Greg, I don't know if you want to...
First meeting is tomorrow evening, so we'll get to work tomorrow.
It's really nice to have those on a different night than before the school committee meeting, so
Yes.
that's appreciated. I know it takes you guys out another night, but doing those back to back was always a little bit,
Right.
You felt nice.
yeah.
So we might have some next month. We might have first readings.
I would think tomorrow that we'll probably have something that we're gonna get done.
For first reading.
Yeah. It'll be nice and fresh.
That'll be the goal.
We've had a lot of time to, prepare.
Energized.
Next is distribution of personnel report and new staff appointments.
And there's the beginning of the school year list that we referenced so many times this evening. A lot of good work, a lot of great staff joining us, and we're excited to have everyone on board. And thanks to the great work of a lot of folks, we were almost fully staffed opening our doors. There's always a few last minute resignations and so forth, but for the most part, we were ready to go and fully staffed.
Probably should have brought this up earlier, but Lindsay Sherman seems to have some big shoes to fill, replacing Stephen Curtis. Is there anything we can say about her? Or
She's
background
off
and
to a
so forth?
terrific start. Terrific start. She has been working with Lise Benice. She came up and to Trotter this week to do some observations as well. She's been reaching out to parents, doing an excellent job recruiting kids in 4th grade, 5th grade. She switched it up a little this year. We usually do a whole school band presentation of the instruments, and she met with each individual class, so it was a little more intimate, and students were able to ask more questions and engage in the whole process. So I think that's a terrific shift, and she's getting into classrooms, getting to know kids, and she's going to be a really nice addition to Mary.
Glad to hear it.
And Mr. Curtis is on the sub list, though.
There it is. I think we signed him up before he retired.
So I'm sure he'll be back for a little bit.
Also worth noting the addition of a K-5 math coordinator. So basically there's 1.0 in Southborough. The two coordinators are working very well together. Maggie in 1 year, that's big shoes to fill, well received. Teachers really appreciated the professional development and the support in the area of mathematics. And so we were able to fund another position, again, through this collaborative work that we do together. And so they are sort of sharing that 2.0 at this point, making sure that the teachers are comfortable with who's ever in the classroom, and just sort of splitting the work, and it's going very well, and it continues to be well received. So we're happy to have Kathleen Lazat join us as well. And Jerry, I know you're very happy to hear about that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the band director too.
Yes, both.
Distribution of 2017 to 2018 school committee meeting dates.
The only change would be the discussion we had earlier about potentially moving the November 8th date to Monday, November 6th, but it sounds like that's almost with a quorum represented at the meeting, a definite, and so we'll make sure we update this, communicate that out everywhere, where we usually communicate the meeting dates. That's well known in advance. The speaker series, we spoke a little bit about that, just great speakers in the district. Greg, I don't know if you want to mention anything about our speaker on Monday.
Yes, so we have Monday evening at Algonquin from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Jessica Minahan will be doing a presentation on how parents can support students who are anxious, children who are anxious, and giving parents some practical strategies. We've also contracted out with Jessica Minahan to work with our faculty and staff for 5 days over the course of the school year. And she'll be working on Monday with our school psychologists, behavioral specialists, and guidance counselors here at Trotter for a full day before the keynote speech.
Exciting. And I know we have talked about the music program before and the arts, and the third keynote speaker actually is in our community, and it has so much to do with music.
So Kathleen Howland is a professor at Berkeley, and she's a resident of Northborough, and she has done a lot of research around the neuroscience of music in the brain. So she'll be doing a keynote on music and how it impacts the brain and how important it is as children develop and grow. So that date is to be determined. I was in touch with her today, and she's sending me some available dates. So more information to follow shortly.
And these are all available on YouTube also, aren't they?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So if people can't make it, they can always see it.
And free to the public.
And the back-to-school newsletter information.
Well, we were very excited to launch our first online newsletter version through Constant Contact, well received. We gave a prior alert out to the community, and we had received more feedback with this than we did necessarily with the same booklet. Last year we had no feedback, so even if we had one this year, it was a 20% increase. But we had far more than that, and we also embedded a survey. And it's clear that folks were taking a look at it by the number of people who responded to the calendar survey. I think we had 136 responses. We'll be sending that back out again, but feedback's been great. This was helpful, and it was an opportunity for us to finally have an identity as a district. I want to give a shout out to Cheryl Lepre. We talked about how can we represent the fact that we're one district in 10 schools. And this is our new logo, and we're starting to use this everywhere, and everyone's part of that family. And I will share that one of the things that we enjoy the first day of back to school as a school community is giving a shout out to every school, and we were able to put this on the screen, and the staff and the administrators love to stand up and cheer for their school. So had a little confusion on the mascots. Wasn't sure if the dolphin was the polar bear or the polar bear was the dolphin, but I think we got that straight now. And then we realized that the dolphin has fins, and that's why it's fins. That was helpful to remember that.
In distribution of MGO 2017.
For anyone that would like the lightweight hard copy, we have them here. All of the MGLs are online, all the regulations are online. If anyone would like to donate their book back, then we pass them on to administrators, because if you are an administrator at a school, it's full of post-it notes, highlights, and turned pages, because they're often
I would
referred
actually
to.
like to have a copy.
So we have one for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we just grab them from up there? Or? Okay.
I actually have 10 in my car. I only brought 2 in up the stairs, but I do have one for everyone if you'd like.
And action on minutes. And the first is the minutes of the open meeting of June 14th, 2017. Maybe everybody wants to take a second.
Well, I already read it, so I'll make a motion. Okay. We can always discuss later, but I'll move that we vote to accept the meetings, the minutes of the Southborough School Committee open meeting of Wednesday, June 14, 2017.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Any discussion?
Discussion.
I don't have it.
I don't know. Okay. All in favor? Motion passes. And so now we need a motion on the June 14th. Actually, I missed an executive session on June 14th.
I think we should hold this, because I see a couple little things here that
Okay.
don't seem quite right.
So we'll hold.
All right. Do you want to reach out to me with changes and bring back?
We'll have to talk about it. I'm just not quite sure what it's supposed to mean.
Okay. Well, that would be helpful if you, so.
Next is approval of bills and payrolls, and then finally is agenda items for next month.
We have a couple.
Yeah.
I think there's been some conversation about the K-8 world language curriculum, and so I think we talked about this at our administrative meeting, and we do have a plan to bring forward a presentation on what we offer in our Southborough Schools K-8. We'll be working on that. Be informative and something not to miss, I'm sure. Last year, we started to invite SOS and SEF. They do so much for our schools, and we haven't met yet this month, but again, I mentioned we'll be meeting on Friday and would like to extend an invitation to them to provide an update on what they have planned for this school year, and invite them to come to our meeting in October.
Okay, good.
And we have the kindergarten update that will become a monthly agenda item as well.
Yeah, probably into old business.
MTC again, too?
Yeah. MTC, actually MTC would be on old business, yeah, because we have to, I think that needs to be on every school committee meeting until we have it all finalized. And we have to just keep talking about it, making sure that something's happening with it, because the voters did, the voters in town voted to have that thing put in, so.
We could
gotta make it
add
happen.
the public facility as well.
Yeah.
If there's no information, there's no information, but it's
Yeah.
still on the agenda.
Yeah, that should always be on the agenda too. Until it's complete, actually. Next on.
That'll be a full meeting.
Yeah.
With public presentations.
Yeah. And next on the agenda is audience sharing. Is there anyone that would like to share? Okay, so I think that we're finished. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Meeting adjourned.